having your parents go to your sports events, birthday parties, even just going out to Chuck E. Cheese, just little stuff like that. Having a great family experience. Imagine not being able to do that just for the fact that you have to live your whole life in fear. Immigration to me is very impactful just because of what it's done to my life. I think immigration goes way further than what most people think it is. It is not just about the Mexican culture. This is a thing that goes to every single race out of the United States. And I think it is something that's not very looked upon.
Immigration to me is being afraid of not coming home to your parents. Immigration to me is kind of realizing that, in a sense, your family can be taken away in a couple of hours and not being with them for the rest of your life, or it being hard to see them for a couple of days, years, months.
Immigration has had a big toll in my life, and I've had many experiences with it. I personally live right now here in the US by myself along with my two sisters. I don't live with them, but we still keep in touch and make sure we're good. I currently have my parents living in Mexico. I do take care of them, but it is something I wish I could change. But unfortunately, because of the immigration issue, I can't. And what I have to do with it is learn to live my life one step at a time, and maybe soon praise that one day we can be together as a happy family one more time.
I haven't had any experiences in my life, but my family does deal with it. They try to find a way of getting papers, fixed so they could go back, see their families that they haven't seen in so long. And I know there's a lot of others too, have families that they haven't seen in so long. They want to go to Mexico. They look at us, we have papers, we can go back and forth and visit them, something that they haven't seen since they left in a young age, 15. The first thing they were taught to come back over here and do was work.
Personally, I do have a couple of experiences with immigration. I remember when we first moved to the United States with my mom, because she got remarried. I remember not being able to just walk to the store with her or go to the store in general, because if there was a cop behind us, she would have to just pull over and wait for the cop to leave. Or I remember us being even afraid to go to Walmart because they were doing the cops were showing up to Walmart and raiding the places and taking all the immigrants to camps and stuff. It was very, very hard growing up around that. I do remember my childhood being a little bit more of a let's hide and not being able to just spend family time and stuff like that. I remember how expensive it was when my stepdad first started fixing my mom's papers. I remember not being able to go on trips or go even to McDonald's because we couldn't really afford it, because all that money was going towards her papers. I remember it took 3 to 5 years after they got married for her to get her papers, and it was very, very hard just growing up like that, because she wasn't really able to go to any of my school events. She wasn't really able to drop me off at school or pick me up from school because she was really afraid to drive.
Immigration can have such a toll on someone's life that I don't think many people understand. For example, you can just be going on about your day while your dad, immigrant, can be at work, coming home, pulled over, arrested, and you may not see him ever again, just in the blink of an eye. And that's just in the blink of an eye. Imagine you being a toddler, 5th grade, waiting for your dad to come home, and he never does again. You know how much of a traumatic experience that is to one? Being at such a young age, never being able to see your dad again, and it's not because he doesn't want to be there. You don't see him ever again because of what happened. Most people look at immigration as drug smuggling, immigration, bad things. Show what's good. Show those Mexican parents that want to be there for the kids. And it's not just Mexican parents, African, all the other cultures, they all get taken away from their families and want to be there, and they can't. They cannot. And it is such a, I don't want to say disgraceful thing, but it is such a bad thing when you want to be there for your kid and you can't. And the kid wants his father and he can't have it. There's a wall right there. It's a barrier. If something could be changed to do it, I wish it could. Yes, there has been past situations, but that can't represent the whole entire community of oneself.
We hear it all the time, and there's a lot of others who are United States already, their parents too, and they didn't have it like how others have it. So that's what our parents tried telling us. There's a lot of things that other people's families don't have. It's hard because we live in a state where like we're all first generations. All our families are the same. We're all growing up knowing each other, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but we have dreams of making it big one day. And hopefully for me, I have big dreams of making it one day. It's because I want to show my family that we could do it. That's my American dream, and that it doesn't have to be through college. Like I was saying, people go to college and they come out wasting so much money and looking back and saying they're not even doing what they used to do in college, like wasted their money for these classes that they didn't even take, that didn't even inspire them to actually keep going no more. And it's like, for what? For what? But everyone has their thoughts about that, and it's cool. But if you have a successful business, you think that it's a business, and the first thing you always doubt yourself and say, hey, no one's gonna support my business and stuff. Don't do it thinking about them not gonna support it. Do it for yourself because it's something you really want to do.
I feel like immigration has impacted me in a lot of ways, but more so just in a way where I grew mentally. I remember how I said previously, I was really afraid of just going out and like doing things. So like now it's just more of a don't be afraid, kind of push yourself to do the things that you need to do, because at the end everything's gonna work out. But it was just a really, really hard time in my life with the whole sense of being afraid.
Such traumatic experiences happening to you at such a young age, that's what I'm saying. It can be good or bad. You know how many kids probably went in the wrong direction because they didn't have that guidance of their father figure, mother figure, or both? Various people, a lot of people. That can lead you into drug addictions. That could lead you into jail. That could lead you into death. And how can that be controlled? It can't. You know why? Because of immigration. Yes, and like in most scenarios, for me, I'm lucky. I coped with it in a great way. I still had my mom until I was about 19. That's when I lost her, but I was already grown in such a maturity way. And I think I learned it. And my thing, what I used to cope was I used video games. I used sports. I used laughing. I used making people laugh. I used laughing myself as an experience for me to try to forget what just happened and to grow. And my goal, and it is still to this day, is to try to be a whole happy family again, or try to do something about immigration, or try to change that.
What I've seen other families go through is that their families actually get deported. They go back over there and they probably see it as the perdón. They have to go back so they can serve their time over there, being over there, and they see it hard. They see it as they can't move on. They can't do what they used to do because they don't have that missing person, or I don't know how to explain it. But they go over there. I've seen families just work. Their kids have to get to working at a young age. They have to do something that other older people do, and they're put in a position where they're young and they can't also go studying. They can't go to school. They can't do what they want to do because they have to work for their families. They see their families going through a struggle and they have to put in their ends too, try hard, and they do it, and I see it. And I tell everyone, don't give up. You guys are never alone in this. You guys have family. Even though, let's say, you're the only one stuck over here and all your family's over there, you have to prove to yourself that you can make it and you can do it. Families get deported all the time and people don't know what they do. They work. It's hard to pay bills. But well, I would say there's a lot of help out there. Get a lawyer. Think about it all the time. Get a lawyer. Ask them what they could do to help you.
Immigration is something that I personally think could have more better attention to it. Not just bad, good and bad. Show both. Show the percentages. Show how many immigrants are smuggling, how many immigrants are, because not all of them are. Some of them are generally trying to be here for a better future. It's hard over there in Mexico. And if you don't know what Mexico is like, go ahead and yourself and try to have a career out there. And it's not just Mexico, like I said. Go to a different country and try to have the career that you have here over there. It is not as easy as it's said. And I think you need to show the attention of the immigrants that want a better future here, other than just the immigrants that are doing the bad stuff, because that's what you guys show in the media.
I remember when my mom first started her process of fixing her papers and getting her citizenship at the beginning, she went through a couple of lawyers. A lot of the lawyers told her certain things, more so, no, you're not going to be able to get it until your daughter turns 21. You're not going to be able to get it because you have 2 kids here in the United States. You're not going to be able to get it because your husband is not a citizen, he's a resident. So she was getting the runaround the whole time, but she went into the internet and she did a lot of research. She looked into a lot of things. She looked into a lot of laws. So it's definitely something that you shouldn't be afraid of doing, looking into it and getting informed. It's not wrong, and it's something that you need to do for sure. I feel when I was younger, of course, I didn't understand what was going on much. I remember when my mom first got her papers, and I looked at her and she was opening up the envelope, and I literally looked at her and I was like, Mom, you're not an immigrant anymore. And that sounds so bad, but I was just so little and so innocent that I wasn't really aware of what that word really meant until I personally had a friend who had DACA, and she lost her DACA for a couple of reasons, and I started doing research with her around like helping her and seeing essentially what we can do to keep that scholarship for her, or that DACA quote unquote like residency. And I really understood. I was like, oh my goodness, like a lot of people are not aware of what can be done. There's a lot of scholarships, there's a lot of people who can help you money wise, because I feel like that's a big thing, not being able to afford it. A lot of people say, okay, I can't fix my papers because I can't afford it. At that time, how I said, my parents didn't have a cent. Like we couldn't even sometimes even afford eating McDonald's, and they got it done. Why? Because my mom did her research. So definitely don't be afraid of looking, asking questions, going to person. It's something that you don't have to give up on. You know, at the end of the day, it's gonna be your future or your family's future. So just don't be afraid to look into it and just take that next step, you know?
We see it as we're from here and we take so much stuff for granted. It's sad to say that in our generation, we really take a lot of stuff for granted because we're in the United States already. We don't get to feel how our families have to be over here, struggle, walk, cross things to get to where they want to be in which state and settle down and really want it. But I see families that come from nothing and they make a living out of themselves, and that's what's up. That's everyone's dream, and you guys can get it done too.
A lot of stuff can be done for this cause of immigration. Like I said, it's understandable that there is gonna be immigrants that are bad, understood. There's gonna be those drug smugglers, those people smugglers, all that stuff. It's understood. But what can be done is maybe help the child in need. Kids can't go to school or have forced to work because they don't have parents. They don't have this, they don't have foster homes. It doesn't help, and it won't help. What one needs is maybe to do a charity to help those kids that don't have those father figures. Do something that you can help those kids that are only 13 and just got both their parents deported. What are they gonna do now? They're scarred. They need help. They need therapy. They need all this now because of what just happened. What can be done? What can be done is maybe help them. Maybe get them on scholarships. Maybe figure it out. Those kids have future, and maybe you could be looking at the next president of the United States. You can be looking at the next brain surgeon. What can be done is to help those kids that are in such a tough situation that can better themselves, that can get something of help so they don't get into drug addiction, that they don't die, they don't go to jail. All that stuff can be done simply.
But like I did want to finish this off and tell you guys that you guys aren't alone. There's always help to be right there. For the first generations over here in the United States, I'm not lying, we take a lot of things for granted because there's other people that don't have the same opportunities that we have, and they see us not taking those opportunities serious. They take it as it's a joke for us, and it's really not. We have to show them that we can do it too, that they came over here in a struggle with the American dream so that we can have. You gotta show them that you gotta make your parents proud, you gotta make your families proud, not just them, but to people always out there, and you can always do that.
Words of advice that I can give fellow people dealing with situations like this, because I dealt with this for the most part of my life. Actually, my whole life, I have dealt with this still to this day. I personally, at the moment as of today, both my parents are in Mexico. I send them money weekly just to, be there for them. It is tough out there, and it is hard. And one thing I do have to say is you guys are not alone. You guys are not alone. Yes, it is hard losing both of your parents, or one or the other. It is tough, especially if you lose the head of the household at such a young age. But what can be done is to use that as motivation. Use that as a reason to succeed in your life. Use that as, I'm gonna make them proud. I'm gonna be the next this. I'm gonna use that as motivation. Find hobbies. Don't get into drugs. Don't cope with it with drugs. Don't cope with it with hanging around in the wrong crowd. Hang around with people who are gonna get you to the top, who are gonna make you successful. Hang around the friend group that you wanna be in. Find hobbies. Play soccer, play sports, draw, tattoo, do all that stuff. But do not let these bad situations or these bad slumps make you crash. Trust me, it's a rocky mountain, but once you get over that slump and get to the top, the view is amazing. I promise you, trust me.